Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchas gracias to all for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love you guys extend and share with me. From the heart, thank you. Well, everyone, before I continue, gracias for the live tonight. It's always a great pleasure to cross words with everyone. But anyways, on this one, I want to do a profile as I promised, right? Continue off the Torreses. When you speak about the Torres, you got to speak about La Trinidad del Mal de Culiacán, right? Which in essence used to stand for El Ondeado Torres, el M1, Chino Antrax, El Macho Prieto. Now, according to myself and family, right? Macho Prieto was a real big powerhouse. A lot of people don't really speak a lot about him because he decided to fall, under el quinto mes or the last or the fifth month, el Mayo. For whatever reason, it's his own. He never shared it, but part of loyalty, I guess, right? Loyal tonto. I could relate with that, right? But anyways, again, there's a lot here. So let me see if I could put it into palabras, right? For everyone. First and foremost, back in the days, before everyone heard about El Ondeado, Chino Anthrax, or even El Macho Prieto, right? They were attacked team. There were three families. Let me clarify, right? They weren't under Chapo, Mayo, nothing. They were their own people. Out of them three, well, you guys know, El Ondeado used to work and he didn't ask for feria, right? He asked for material to push. And Chino Antra is the same, right? He put to disposition whatever he had. And as El Macho Prieto, right? He put everything he was moving in El Mayo's hands. A lot of people associate him with El Vicentillo to some extent, right? Which is true. But nevertheless, he was always under dad, right? And to me and to a lot of people in Culiacan, right, it was a dumb move. El Macho Preto, when we speak about power, had people, power, wiggles. For example, let me give you an example. He was out here, in Culiacan, and but he had people, Nogales, Mexicali, Puerto Peñasco, Sonora, and here in Culiacan. And he was no joke, right? Before he sat down with El Mayo, it's real famous out here. When he sat down with El Mayo, it's because he had an open war. Literally, he was fighting the Aretes. You guys ever hear about the massacre that happened where well, Mayo had his surroundings out here in Culiacan, right, which was Los Pinos, the neighborhood. And again, at this time, he was far away from El Mayo, right? But in this massacre, he retaliated, more so for the second attack from the Arellanos. Again, that's why I call him trash, right? There's a lot there. I told you about the 42 people in Michoacan, but just here where I'm at, right? They used to have, at the time, soldiers, to say the least. They used to call culichis. They were literally functioning here in Culiacan, moving weight, whatever. They were associated with the Carrillos, right? And well, in the neighborhood, Morelos, till this day is real famous, right? You hear baladas here, and it's right after what they did in Los Pinos. In Morelos, they literally, just to get back at El Macho Prieto, they went in, picked up 12 families. In them 12 families, they laid down to earth, including babies, pregnant women, and they put one, right? And a line. And in reality, they weren't even relatives to El Macho Prieto. They were wrong about that, right? It belonged family to the Torres Felix. But anyways, I don't want to lose track, right? At this time again, he was real strong in the sense of, you guys hear about what you see later on, right? But El Macho Prieto had a whole flood out of gasoline trucks. He was one of the first ones that literally pack them and knew how to pack them and get them, from all the way from Culiacan, again, Sonora, San Luis, Mexicali, Nogales. It was all him. But, Myers, I've always been one of the famous families here, right? At one point is when Mayo basically pulled him over and tell him, hey, you're heating up the plaza. And I don't know what happened amongst that conversation, right? But after that, El Macho Prieto said he was Zambadas, right? 100%. And when he picked up the friendship per se or whatever, right? Under the Zambadas, he put everything he had in their service, which even I won't just say the Zambadas. A lot of people out here says he had a lot, right? But when he basically jumped the boat with them, he inherited the wars at the time with Beltranes, Carrillos. Again, the Aretes, they were heavy out here, right? But they basically wanted what Macho had was his people and his pipeline, which again it was gasoline pipes that he crossed all the way back, right? And anyways, what's real famous about Nacho Prieto that a lot of people speak of, right? Is supposedly when by accident he killed El Chapo's son. But you see, in reality, he phoned it in, gave the truck description, everything, and you know, El Vicentillo is the one that gave that order to go ahead and move. Macho was known for always being high and taking care of business, right? He always did it with a lot of loyalty. He basically killed the Chapo's son. But after argument, the families never came down on him because it was considered a mistake, right? But after that, it was just never the same. For one, Torres Felix, he started being jealous, just being sincere of the power, right? And he was always getting yelled at for heating up the plaza. So El Mayo basically told him to rotate tires for a while because he didn't want a war to continue with the Chapos. And yeah, again, he had an open war with Chapos, Torreses at this time, Beltran Leivas, Carrillos, and definitely Arellanos Felix, right? Because Ramon, he was real heavy out here, right? He had a lot of people and he was doing a lot of shady stuff. But anyways, I'm not gonna glorify this individual. Again, he's one of them, like I said, I was gonna touch on that a lot of people sleep on, right? You associate him as being a pawn, and yeah, he was. But it wasn't by, how to say it, it was by his choice to be loyal to them, just being sincere. Not only did they fear him, that would later become his downfall, right? You see, it happens in everything. Loyalty turns into abuse of power, your downfall, period. And anyways, it started off the head bumping with the Torreses was because they were accusing El Mayo, or at least Jotate, right? He was accusing El Mayo of sending government against him, and Macho was being loyal, right? And then he did a move with El Ondeado, El M1, and he sat on the dope, basically burned him and said, "Come and get it." But before he left Culiacan, he had an open war with the Guzmanes. And you see, Zambada had to cover their butt. A lot of people speak good about this individual. Come here and really pay attention. They're nothing good. I understand per se you don't want to talk against the narcos now, right? But he is against the government. Literally. If you come here, you will know. The reason he's not speaking about that world is because you gotta remember his son's out there. He wants to pick up power. He speaks, he throws enemies on him. He didn't get where he was at for being dumb, right? But he always turned in people that scared him. Again, Macho Preto took care of a lot of people, right? He ran out the Aretes or Culichis from here. A cousin he had, Lino, took care of him on the orders, being his own cousin, right? And basically, well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what happened September '98. It's a real famous case, right? But I just know what I heard, right? In Sonora, basically, Macho Preto stuck up. But anyways, push comes to shove, excuse me, push comes to play out, right? Basically, he took care of La Araujos. Again, he had an open war at one point. with the Chapos, Arellanos, Torres, Antrax. With so many people who had power, a lot of people. But basically, listen to Mayo when he told him leave. Let the plaza cool down. You're heating up the plaza. Go out that way. I don't want you fighting my compadre. For the death of his son, right? You see a lot of people say it's when currently is when everything started going to hell between them two familias. No, ever since the death of El Chapo's son, everything not the same. Period. For one, even if it wasn't true that Vicentillo called the shot and Macho Prieto was his people that took him out. And even Vicentillo, when he sang for the feds, straight said it, it was a move by his dad. Yep, by that old man that always plays a second card right against people. You see, he did it with JT. He did it with Araujo's turning man. He did it with El M1. And most importantly, he sent government out to get El Macho Prieto. You see, when El Macho Prieto really hit the fan, tried to correct it, so he locked himself up. And nobody thought he would do it right because he was known as loony, straight up, right? But again, I don't want to keep touching on how much power his individual had, right? But for some reason, he chose to stay loyal to the Zambadas. And not just the Zambadas, a lot of people were scared of this individual, right? He took his word, went to Sonora, sent his boss per se location, and his boss sent the Marines. And again, he was just one of them cats, right? He wasn't going to turn himself in. So he went balls out, and well, you guys know how it turned out. But basically, it's just one of them other things that happens a lot here. Again, it's a trash world, right? And I'm not saying it was just the mesetas, right, that did it. They did it for a lot longer, though, to a lot of people with power. Why? I don't understand it. Why people chose to put everything under their feet and loyalty, right? As this individual, to the point that it was spoken at one time that the old man took out his brother, his cousin, had already sent government on him once, and Macho Prieto had taken out government. Not only that, when he was his own boss, just think about how much weight he was moving and them 3-4 pipes of gas he was crossing over. Not only that, what you guys see right now, government being paid, he was actually one of the first ones. People can argue, but as well known out here in Culiacan, he literally had 3 colonels paid out here. That's how La Trinidad, the Treces de la Mal, as El Mayo started getting in government, they were getting away with everything. Also, a lot of people, there's a lot of history in a lot of this. For example, you guys seen the current war with the Caborcas, right? Do you know what is behind? It's behind Nacho Prieto. Under orders, went out there. He fought, took up Pablito Payan. He was El Baron's son. El Baron is the founder of the Caborcas. You see, to El Mayo was just one of them moves he was used to, basically throw heat off of him by turning in El Macho Prieto, someone that under no reason felt he needed to call loyalty to him, right? Not only that, under greed, he wanted Nogales, Sonora, Ensenada, San Luis, whatever he had. You see, El Macho Prieto did what a lot of people haven't done, and that is when he was going to war with the Carrillos, he was going to war with Tamaulipas. Just please, for those that know what time it is, think about that. How this individual was literally up on war again. Arellanos, Chapos, Torres, even the Antrax at one point, Beltranes, Carrillos, and Tamaulipas. Not El Mayo, not Sinaloa. It was El Macho Prieto and his people. And it's a shame. It happens in every world, right? You swear loyalty and under greed and benefit for someone. it always comes back and turns on you. Anyways, everyone, I hope I was able to make sense, right? There's just so much under Macho Prieto, but I do want to close this, what I started, right? On La Trinidad de Tres, which I will close the next, profile with El Chino Anthrax. Hopefully you guys will be able, I will be able to make more sense. I'm sorry it's very late, no. Again, I hope I made sense. If not, do please leave a comment and I will try to make sense of it, right? But it's what happens, right? You see, it works in every world. When I speak for myself, I'm not gonna say I had everything. I gave up everything for my neighborhood. Went in blindly to what I was supposed to do, swore loyalty, and seeing how that loyalty amongst camaradas always plays out. And that is to be used as a pawn to throw heat off of you or to prove a point, throwaways. So don't throw your life away, be smart, stay true to yourself, and loyal to your loved ones. Muy buenas noches.